Hello everybody, we're here at Otakon. It is currently day 0, so it's Thursday. We're kind of in the middle of setting up. We're technically not even done because we do have to go back, get more inventory, and then bring it back so I don't have to do as much tomorrow. We got in around 12 p.m. because that's when badge pickup and Artist Alley are able to enter in the hall. There's a lot of drama with that, and I'm kind of a little too frazzled to talk about that right now, but I'll talk about it tomorrow. This is my first convention here on the East Coast because if you've been watching the vlogs, you know I'm from Los Angeles, and most of my conventions and events are typically on the West Coast. In this vlog, I'll talk about the different ways you can get into Otakon because there's 3 different ways. How I ship product from across the country since I did have to fly and all of my product do not fit in 4 suitcases. Recommended inventory counts, at least from my perspective, and how I feel about Otakon as a non-print artist and as someone who did have to fly across the country and for my first time. So if you're interested in any of those topics, keep on watching. Some information about Otakon: it is a 3-day convention at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in Washington, D.C. This is one of the big cons in the East Coast. Some other ones are like Katsucon, Anime Boston, ANYC. I did look up attendance last year and it was about 42,000 attendees. So I would say in comparison to Anime Expo, AX is about 100+ thousand attendees. So I would say it's about a third of AX or so. I will say that when I was talking to a few other artists about Otakon, because again, this is my first time, I don't really know what to expect. Some people who did AX and also Otakon mentioned that Otakon was a lot better for them. I'm not sure if it's because it's a completely different demographic. There's a lot less artists compared to AX where there's about 600 to 700 artists. Here, I think there's about 400 or so. I didn't really get a chance to count, but I'm just curious to see from my perspective, because for me, AX is one of my best cons, but it's also hard to tell because AX to me is local. I'm able to basically restock every single day. Compared to this convention, I did have to ship out about 7 to 8 boxes in addition to the suitcases that I already have and filled up. I think that's everything. We're gonna finish setting up and get more inventory, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Good morning, it is day 1 of Otakon. It's currently 11:11, lucky. In terms of my table location, I'm at H204, which I think is a pretty good table location because I'm one of the first sections towards the front because there's several sections onwards. And we're also near the restrooms and the escalators from my understanding, and I'll check later on today. In terms of the map, I think there's only one entrance and exit, and it's the escalators up in the front. The tables in the front are the unlimited booths because those are about $1,100, $1,200 depending on if you got an inline or a corner. And then basically the standard booths are on the perimeter of Artist Alley. Those are a little bit more expensive than standard table because you have more space. And then the rest of the tables towards the center in a way of Artist Alley is the standard table sizes. I know some people were irritated because the unlimited tables and the standard booths, which again are more expensive, were given 6-foot tables, even though they have a 10 by 10 space. However, for regular Artist Alley, who paid a lot less, we got 8-foot tables. This is how the back of the table looks. It is so nice having an 8-foot table because look how much space there is. Like we have backpacks here, display bags, and there's space in the back to actually put more stuff, but we can do that for the next couple days. More stuff here. We have our tote bags way up here. I didn't have space to have my typical paper bags that I'm trying to get rid of because obviously I didn't have enough space to bring them on the plane or even ship them. So I only have these bags. A lot of random stuff down here. And then even like under the table, it's just random stuff. But I feel like it's a little bit more organized because we have so much space. Because it is a big difference having like 2 extra feet. So typically, if you're not familiar with Artist Alley tables, it's usually 6 feet. So you would basically knock off this side and that side, and it would just be straight 6 feet. But it is so nice. And then in terms of space behind the table, this is how much space. So I think they're gonna leave the divider here. There's no divider here, but it's just on both ends. But there's still a lot of space. Like compared to Anime Expo, there's a lot of space in between if you just like leave this part open. Because for behind the table, we're supposed to have at least 3 feet, and we have to stay within that. There's no tape, but very happy. Basically, for this convention, hours tend to be pretty long. Fortunately, they do have the hours on the back of the badge, and I feel like most cons should do that because it's very convenient. So for Artist Alley for Friday, it's from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday is 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then Sunday is 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. because it's Sunday, and typically Sunday has shorter hours for most conventions. We did get brunch earlier, so hopefully that will fuel us up until early evening, and then once it's like 5, 6 p.m., maybe we'll DoorDash or Uber Eat something, and then one of us will just pick it up out front. Also, if you're new here, I'm Macy. I'm the artist behind Mualcaina, and I basically create Artist Alley content, vlogs, podcasts, a lot of things. If any of that interests you, feel free to subscribe to my channel and give this video a like if you like it so far, because I know you want to. Maybe not. It's okay. Also, something new that I did add some stickers on my Square Terminal case, which I thought was super cute because I did want to add some kind of branding. So I did order like a couple sticker sheets with my logo characters, and it's so cute. I think I talked about this yesterday, but I'll bring it up today. Because this is one of my first few out-of-state conventions that I had to actually fly to and bring a limited amount of product to. Basically what I learned from last year when I did Anime Central, I only had like 2 large luggages and then my carry-on and then my personal item. And that was definitely not enough for me for ASIN. And my mistake was not shipping product out for that particular convention. So this time I did ship out a lot of product. I'll talk about the process on how to do that later on. I also got a hotspot for this convention because I did hear that sometimes the internet might be a little funky since we are underground. I don't know if it's 1 or 2 levels. So some people have had issues with certain phone providers. I do have Verizon, and I heard Verizon doesn't really fare well, but we'll try without the hotspot. Worst case scenario, we'll just use this. And I did add some stickers on there as well. If you watched my podcast, you know that my old phone was 64 gigabytes. So I'm happy to announce that I finally got a new one, and it's 512 gigabytes. So, and of course, not me. Are we surprised? No. Very excited because I did get this cookie from 4 or 5 Coffee America. So apparently it's like America outside and cookie dough inside. So very excited. I'm very hungry. I don't even know what time it is. Did I say what time it is? It's 3 o'clock, 3:42 p.m. I did just come back because I got a notification that UPS delivered the last box. So I was able to get the rest of the tote bags, my step stool, because I'm short, and the other display eat-a bag. So we're good for the rest of the day. Very excited, but I do have to attach the backpack, but I'm not going to do that today because safety concern. It's been good so far. We did run out of the blue and green eat-a backpacks, but I think we only had like 2 of each, and then I think we have 1 of each left right now. And then I left 1 of each in the hotel, so then there's at least 1 for tomorrow. My goal for this time is just to sell as many today. If there's extras, I'll save some for tomorrow and then just try to sell it out because Sunday is a lot shorter. I've talked about this in past vlogs, I think, or past videos, but it's very helpful to have a catalog when it comes to Artist Alley, especially for bigger cons like Otakon, Anime Expo, and then I'm definitely going to make a catalog for SAC Anime next month. If you're not familiar with how an Artist Alley catalog works, basically it has your map location so people know where to find you, your table number, and then basically a menu of all of the products that you're going to have. And why it's helpful for attendees is that it helps them budget, especially for bigger conventions. A lot of attendees like to budget a certain amount to spend at a convention because it's very easy to spend a lot if you're not careful. If you have like pricing, the deals that you'll have at that convention, it'll be helpful for them to make a list of artists that they want to visit so they also don't miss you, because I have been in situations where I did not advertise what convention I was at. I didn't post a catalog, and some attendees who do follow me on social media were sad to hear that I was at that convention, but they just didn't know, which is fair because especially for conventions like these, it's so big that if you're not going through each aisle, it's very difficult to see every single artist, and sometimes if you're like in the far off corner, some people might not have the energy to go all the way over there, so it helps to have a catalog so then if they do follow you, they can anticipate to find you at that convention. Otakon's been relatively busy. Again, I haven't really stayed throughout the whole time because I have been going back and forth getting product, but we'll see how today goes. It's currently 5:18. There's about 3.5 hours until this con ends. I think it ends at 9. I've been walking around a little bit, but I feel like we've been thoroughly wiped out, at least for today's inventory stock. I do need to bring a couple more heart bags, I think in black gold or black silver, whichever ones I have. Oh, we do have blue-green plushie Ita bags. So we're good with plushie Ita bags right now. I'm a little bit surprised because the corduroy bags haven't been selling well at this convention. My friend said that we sold maybe like a couple, but compared to Anime Expo and past conventions within California, SoCal, they don't sell as well. Ita backpacks for sure have been selling pretty well. I don't recall selling any of the classic Ita bags, maybe just like one or two. Pins have always been pretty popular. Stickers, always popular. For the most part, the people who have been purchasing from us are from social media because, again, I have said that we have a small amount of Ita backpacks specifically and the other Ita bags. So I think the people that did want those items came here first. And I'm pretty sure for the remaining attendees, they're just walking around since this is a 3-day convention. You have 2 more days to think about what you want to get. So far, it's been lining up with what a lot of people have been talking about when it comes to Otakon being pretty well. Also, because of the long con hours, we ended around 9 p.m. tonight, and since we are working from 1 to 9, we won't have time to get dinner, so we did end up ordering Uber Eats, so then they quickly delivered it within like 20 minutes or so, and now it's time for dinner. So it's currently 8:04, and we have a little less than an hour until convention ends. It's really interesting because we actually didn't really sell that much of the Egghead One Piece pins. Egghead One Piece was really popular back in LA with Anime Expo and Anime Riverside. However, here in DC, we've noticed that a lot of the sales are with Jujutsu Kaisen pins, Jujutsu Kaisen stickers, a few original designs, but that was pretty similar with Anime Expo. I think if people were to buy One Piece items, it's with the regular time skip One Piece and not necessarily Egghead One Piece. A lot of Spy Family, but no one's been buying Anya. Like, it's always Lloyd, Yor, or Bond. For the most part, when I was looking on the Artist Alley Discord, there were some concerns with the escalators because for some reason, there were times where the escalators were only exit only, so they were all going up. And in order to go down, you would have to take the stairs. But I'm a little confused because from my understanding of Otakon in past years or in other artist vlogs, there was only one entrance and exit to Artist Alley, and it was through the escalators. But I realized that there's also an entrance/exit from Dealer's Hall, which is just across Artist Alley. I can't remember if it said on the map that it was a passageway, but that is another entrance alternative. We're still open for an extra hour compared to Dealer's Hall. Dealer's Hall opened at 12. We started at 1, but they close at 8 p.m. We end at 9 p.m. Also, for product that I've noticed that has been really popular is Hunter x Hunter stuff. Like for keychains, maybe a few people will buy One Piece keychains, but then they'll also buy the Hunter x Hunter shaker keychain. Oh, also in terms of weather, coming from someone who has not been to DC in years, I knew it was going to be this humid. I don't know how humid could be. I don't like humidity. Obviously with my hair, humidity is not that great. I also didn't know that you can get a little bug bite, so definitely bring some type of bug spray or ointment for your bug bites. But at least for temperature within the convention, it's actually not too bad. I don't know if I just got warm throughout the con because I was walking so much, especially when I did have to go outside. Obviously, it's a lot warmer, but inside the convention, it's relatively cool. Obviously not as hot as AX because AX is literally inside of a parking structure. Or not AX, but Artist Alley is in Kentia Hall, which is basically a parking structure.
Such a long description.
Oh, well, I want to know. No one talks about it, so I have to talk about it. If no one talks about the temperature inside of the convention center, or especially inside of Artist Alley, how would they know?
Yeah, you're right.
I'm the only one who wants this information. So this is for my own record keeping. So this is how I store my pins when I fly. I put them in these bins. I think they're called like photo bins or like for 4x6. I think I got these from either Michael's or one of the craft stores, and I think I can fit about, depending on the size of the pins, if they're about 1.5 inches, it can fit about 40 to 60 pins if you're very organized about them. I usually put them in my carry-on, so TSA is going to flag me. But I mean, it usually takes them like 10-15 minutes to go through it, probably less. And they're usually nice about it, so I'm not really that worried about it. It's 8:41, less than 20 minutes until, oh no? Oh shit! It scared me!
You laughed so hard at the vibrations.
Overall, very successful Friday. I can't really compare it right now one-to-one with Anime Expo, but it was, I would be very, what? I don't even, that is the current state of my mental state. Oh, yeah. So I did check my numbers on Square. Actually, it's pretty comparable to day one of AX. I would say that at least for card transactions, AX numbers were just a couple hundred more than today. But then again, I don't know my cash count. But day one today was definitely a bit comparable to day one of AX of this year. My costs were high for this particular event because not only am I paying for flight, it's for myself and my friend who's helping me. I did have to pay for a hotel. Luckily, my table fee is a lot less compared to the other Artist Alley table options. It's a lot higher versus when I'm back home. I'm really just paying for table fee and then friends. But overall, I feel like for today as day one of Otakon and being a Friday, it's been very good. Very happy with today's results. Hello, it is day 2 of Otakon. It is 9:38 in the morning. Looking at yesterday's numbers, I would say obviously I did less than Anime Expo day 1 in general because each day was pretty similar to each other. Obviously I'm not mad about it because AX numbers are really good, but it wasn't like too far from AX numbers. I will say that some people who did Otakon last year said that this year was a little bit slower for them. There's a few things that might contribute to that. One is a placement of Dealer's Hall. From my understanding of other people's Artist Alley vlogs and from talking to other people, I think Dealer's Hall was in a different placement, or it was in the same area as it is now. However, there was some kind of barrier in between Artist Alley and Dealers, so you would have to go around. However, this time there is some open space between Dealers and Artist Alley, so then people can easily flow through between them rather than going up the escalators and then coming back down. So there were 2 different entrances and exits to Artist Alley. But surprisingly, some people said that row A was pretty slow for them, and row A is the one closest to Dealer's Hall. We're currently in row H, and we seem to be doing decently well in terms of traffic. And it's interesting because sometimes the escalators would change directions. So I remember at one point it was exit only, so they were only going up. And then at another point it was alternating, so one was going up, one was going down. I don't know why it kept changing. But other than that, it's been relatively good. The sentiment with attendees at Otakon kind of feels like Anime Central in that everyone is so nice. So thank you if you came by at my table. Everyone's so sweet. Sometimes I'm just very shy about everything, but thank you for stopping by, and I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the videos. I will show you the front of the table. So basically, again, 8-foot table. Now that we have all the display Ita bags, so heart Ita wallets, heart Ita bags. I do have my social media here because I didn't really want to put product there. Corduroy bags up here. Classic Ita bags, Ita backpacks, and again, this time I did include pins not included sign because a few people were confused about that. Plushie Ita bags up here. Again, I made sure to have pins or plushies in them to showcase that they are meant for pin bags, in case people are confused as to why there's plastic. Plushies here, shaker keychains over here, enamel pins, phone grips. I did put stickers here since there wasn't room, and I didn't really want to put it here because the catalog would block it a little bit. Catalogs here. I did include my QR code for the catalog. If we ran out of catalogs, or if they just want to see it from their phone, they can scan it here. Per usual, I did put business cards with my table number, so then if they want to come back, they know where to go. Power magnets. I did have notebooks here, but we only brought 2 of them, so I did take out the grid shelf. Again, I have the sign for cash policies, Venmo, more business cards. I did bring a business card holder. I don't know where I put it. I literally saw it, but it's somewhere. Car magnets, stickers, and I do have some new products. So I have these fillable shaker keychains. It comes in my OCs, and these keychains do come with the Cat Bunny Bear acrylic pieces. But if you want the heart acrylic piece, they are sold separately in these packs. And these are guaranteed packs. They're not like mystery packs, and they're like $5 each. There's another one, but I just don't know where the display one is. But if you didn't know, so for a standard table, typically it's supposed to be a 6-foot table, but if you're lucky, we get an 8-foot table, which is why I anticipated display mock-ups for both options, just in case. So fortunately, we did get an 8-foot table. So for standard table and standard booth, you do have to have at least 50 original designs, and in that way you also have to identify it somehow in case staff does come by your table and asks which part is fan art and which products are original characters. So the easiest way to do that is just to split your table in half. So then it's like 50 original characters, 50 fan art. I don't believe it's based on product quantity, as in like every single product would count against original characters and fan art. So for me, the original characters start like here, here, and then up there. So that would be the original designs, and then all of this is fan art. So obviously, display purpose-wise, it does look 50-50 in a way, versus like 1, 2, 3 Eda bags versus like 20 enamel pins. Obviously, quantity-wise, it's not 50-50, but I think they're basing it off of display. And unfortunately, I noticed I couldn't exactly move around some of the original characters because I do have some original designs in the fan art section. However, I'm not going to rearrange my pin display or foam grip display just because they already have identifying markers on them, but it's fine. So it's currently 12:04, so it's been about an hour since con started. Right now I'm just putting some pins on backing cards just so we're not stressing out later on if we do run out. Typically, if you know or if you've watched some of my vlogs, you know I'm typically in a stamp rally for most conventions that I've been vending at for the past year. I think the only exception was Anime Riverside, and I just didn't feel like doing a stamp rally that time. But if you're not familiar, you're not allowed to have stamp rallies at Otakon. There's a lot of various reasons as to why that is. I think one reason it's because of gambling laws, and the reason that Otakon banned it was because you can't guarantee specific rallies. You're good. You can't guarantee specific or like having enough prizes for certain rallies because you could run out, and if someone went through the entire stamp rally, completed it, but then they don't have prizes or that they promised, it doesn't look good. Some other artists were kind of mad because I know Otakon does have their own stamp rally. However, that one is free to enter, so it's not like it requires a purchase. And I know for Otakon, you're not allowed to have products that are free with purchase. So that's why with my tote bags, I did have to have it available separately for $15, or else I can't just have free with purchase of $50. And I know right now there has been some concern with wanting to be in stamp rallies or needing to be in stamp rallies to be at a convention. And it is hard to say because for me, I don't necessarily think that my success at a convention is specific to whether I had a stamp rally or not, because when I did Anime Riverside, again, no stamp rally, and I was in exhibitors, I did really well for a 2-day convention compared to some other conventions that I've done and I wasn't a stamp rally in. So it also just depends on like what your goals are for specific conventions and the requirements to participate in that stamp rally. I think we're at a point now within conventions and Artist Alley that stamp rallies are incredibly oversaturated. Especially for attendees, it's very easy to get overwhelmed because there's so many stamp rallies, and some stamp rallies, there's a lot of artists in it. I'm not an exception because for Anime Expo, I think for the One Piece one, we had about 7 other artists. So of course that is a big investment in requiring $20 minimum purchase from each artist and then spending $20 from 7 artists. Obviously $140 isn't a small amount. Personally, I don't see myself participating in a free to participate stamp rally only because to me it is a large investment to participate as an artist in these stamp rallies. We do have to pay for our share of the stamp cards, and then even the prizes depending on how elaborate it is, whether it's a keychain or a sticker sheet. Financially, I would much rather participate in a stamp rally that does require some kind of monetary investment. But of course, you know, there's also a lot of really fun free-to-play stamp rallies. I think financially that's not something I personally can do, especially when most of the time I am organizing it. It is a lot of effort on my end, but that's just a personal choice. I typically do 2 minimum stamp rallies, maybe 1, but moving forward, I think I will just limit myself to 1 if possible, because it's just too much mentally to do 2 stamp rallies. I think it's a lot. I mean, I say that, but next month for SAC Anime, I'm in 2 stamp rallies. So moving forward after that, I will try to keep it to 1 stamp rally per convention. Also for today's hours, it's a lot longer. Artist Alley is open from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's pretty long, and apparently it was much longer in past years, and they've been shortening it. I'm not mad. We've been door dashing dinner starting yesterday, so I think we might do the same thing today, just because I like to get a good amount of sleep when possible. Hanju Donuts!
Yes.
This is her side business.
Yes, no.
Coco Soul Donuts. Just a quick update, it's almost 3 o'clock. 6 more hours until con ends. I think for us, it's been relatively the same as yesterday in terms of performance. Again, it's still pretty early to tell. However, there are some artists along Artist Alley who have been saying that today seems to be a bit slower for them compared to yesterday. I think that people might have just slept in and don't plan on arriving until much later in the day, especially since con hours are just so long. Also for vendor hall, dealer hall is open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. However, for us, it's open from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., so it's much later. I'm not entirely sure of the reasoning as to why we're longer. I'm not really complaining because it is an opportunity for more sales later in the day once dealer hall is closed. I really like this convention because there's a lot of artist friends who are vending this weekend. So it's really nice to see a lot of them, especially when most of them or even some of them aren't always vending on the West Coast. In terms of backpacks, we completely sold out of all of the Ida backpacks. For Ida backpacks, I think I brought about 5 of each color, and then maybe 7 of the black Ida backpacks, since those tend to be more popular than the other color variants. We still have a few plushie Ida bags. We have plenty of enamel pins. I don't know if I just overpacked, which is, again, not a bad thing for enamel pins. I did. There's a lot. Some insight if you are curious about what it's like to ship product to wherever you're vending at. This is the first convention that I shipped out product, because in the past I'm usually on the West Coast vending. It's very rare that I'm doing anything out of state. I think my last out of state was Anime Central, and that was last year. And I didn't ship product, unfortunately. So this time I learned to bring a lot of product because a lot of people have been hyping about this convention. So basically what I did, I think about a month in advance or 2 months in advance, I messaged my hotel, hey, do you accept packages on behalf of a guest? And they said yes. And then there's like a few questions I asked. I also have a more detailed list on Patreon in the Biz Buddies tier, but this is a general synopsis of everything. I basically asked, oh, do you charge for accepting packages? Is there a limit as to how many packages I can ship? What is the procedure for all of that? And they were like, nope, it's free. There's no limit. There's no size limit. So I said, all right. And I basically packaged my products about a week and a half to 2 weeks in advance, just so I'm not in a rush. I basically made a list of what's inside each package, and then the following week, about a week prior to when I arrived in DC, I shipped out about 7 to 8 boxes through UPS, and I addressed the hotel so then it would arrive there. Some other people do ship to the convention center, or they ship to the FedEx or UPS or whatever shipping system company is at the convention. There's a lot of drama with that, because there's been an issue with Shepherd, which is the shipping provider union that's at this convention center. Artists who've been shipping to FedEx that's at the convention center, Shepherd would take that box, drop it off at the artist table / booth, and then they would invoice them like $100, $200. Like one artist was invoiced $600 for a 50-pound box, like one 50-pound box. So a lot of people are pissed off because they didn't ask for that. Technically, they should not be charged that much. I did buy a few packs of air tags, and I put them in some of the boxes just so I can see for my peace of mind where it was going. And then once it was noted as delivered via UPS, I also saw on the Find My iPhone or whatever that app is, like where the air tags are, and it showed that it was at my hotel. So definitely helped with peace of mind as someone who's very anxious with all that sort of stuff, especially as a first time. But it's a lot, and this was definitely something I had to do because I had a lot of bulky items like the sweaters, Ita bags. And I'm not sure if I noted this before, but all of my display Ita bags, like the plushie Ita bags, Ita backpack, classic Ita bags, and even the heart Ita bags, they all fit in one checked baggage. So obviously that takes up so much space when it could be a product that we can sell. Again, I will have all of those details listed on the Biz Buddies tier on Patreon if you want to know the exact questions that I asked, as well as the timeline for all of that, just so you can kind of anticipate it, because that's something that I was definitely thinking about and researching on my own end when it came to all of this. I'm gonna be honest, I'm starting to feel the effects of how long this convention is. It's currently 5:40, so there's still like 3 hours and 20 minutes until con ends. Again, I'm not complaining because luckily it has been relatively consistent, so there's not too many lulls in between transactions. Since it's like 5:43 at this point, there's still about 20 minutes or less than 20 minutes until the dealer's room closes. So I'm assuming that once that part of the hall closes, I feel like most people will start going back into Artist Alley, because if they want something to do for the next 3 hours, they're probably going to spend it here. Out of all the conventions, I feel like Otakon is one of the most organized, at least with their staff. I think the only issue is with checking in, because it was a bit of a pain trying to check in. One, it was really difficult to find where badge pickup for Artist Alley is, because it's not in the same spot as exhibitor check-in for some reason, and there was no signage to show where we should go. Luckily for us, I did have my friend with me, so she was able to watch the luggage while I went and ran around to find where to check in to get our badges. But for a lot of people who are soloing, like I had one friend who's soloing this weekend, I did have to watch her luggage because I'm not sure if they changed it, but in the beginning when we got there, they were not allowed to bring their luggage inside with them so they can check in and get their badge. So I basically volunteered to watch her bags for her so then she can check in, because I don't know why they wouldn't allow you to bring it in. And then it's not even the same place where you would go to bring your luggage to Artist Alley. In order to bring your luggage from check-in, I think it's about a block away. So you had to lug all of that stuff, walk into Artist Alley, and then it was a few levels down. Again, there's still no signage as to where to go. So it was very confusing on that end. For people who drove in wanting to use the loading dock, for some reason, Shepherd would charge these artists, regardless if they were exhibitors in vendor hall, artists in Artist Alley, and whether they even needed labor workers to bring their stuff in to their booth. I believe they charged them upwards of like $100 or more just to use the loading dock, which is really frustrating. I'm not entirely sure of the reason for that, but I can imagine how frustrating that is just to drive in, bring all of the stuff yourself, yet be charged over $100 just to use it when other conventions don't charge you. I understand if the labor workers were bringing your stuff in, but that wasn't even the case, and I don't understand why they were being charged. Other than that, during the convention, it's been very smooth. A lot of staff would come by every few hours or so just to check in to see how we were doing. I'm sure if you were soloing and you needed someone to just stand behind your table just to watch your stuff while you went to the restroom, they could do that for you. So that was really nice. I think the only other event or convention that did that would be maybe Anime Expo. A couple times someone checked in. AX Chibi as well. There was someone checking in at least once or twice per day. Oh yeah, there was a lot of theft. Unfortunately, knock on wood, there's no wood here, but knock on wood, it hasn't happened to us. But unfortunately, we've had a few artist friends whose display items got stolen. A lot of people's like bags got stolen, their keychains got stolen from their display. I think some of it happened during the con, so it could be an attendee. And another artist friend who's had her keychain stolen. It happened after hours, so it could have been volunteer or staff or another vendor. So it's very frustrating, really. So if you were curious as to whether the tote bags are water resistant or waterproof, they are, because I went out to get boba. I went through the door that was like technically exit only. I went out and I saw, oh shit, it's raining. I looked back at the security guard and she's like, so I'm like, fuck, I have to go all the way 1 block away where the actual entrance is, and it's like pouring. So I'm like, you know what? I have this tote bag. I'm gonna run with this. So I put this on my head, like this. I'm like walking around, and it's like raining. But look, it's dry inside. It is 7:49 p.m. An hour, 10 minutes until con ends. I'm starting to feel the effects of a very long con schedule. There's still a lot of people walking around, but it's been a good day. I haven't checked the report yet just because I'm so overwhelmed, but it's been great. It's been great so far. I'm just tired. Good morning, it is day 3 of Otakon and it is the last day. It's 8:30 in the morning, con starts at 10. We did get here early just to unpack a few things since we brought the remaining inventory and then just make sure that we have everything. So some insight about Otakon if you are interested in vending at this convention. You are not allowed to bring proxies for Artist Alley. You can bring helpers. I believe it's 2 additional badges max, and each additional badge is $75. So as mentioned earlier in this video, there's 3 ways of getting into Otakon. The first one and the most expensive option is with the unlimited table. Unlimited tables are $1,100, and apparently if you have a corner table, it's an additional $100, so it's $1,200. Comes with 1 badge, 1 table, and a 10 by 10 space. It's first come first serve for that table option. Pretty much tables are taken within seconds. I think you do find out if you got that table about a week later or so, because the Artist Alley staff do have to go through the applications to see who submitted their apps in what order, and then I think you find out within like the next couple weeks of applying. You do have a better location with this table option because one of the entrances is through escalators, so as you can see on this map, unlimited tables are at the bottom, so you're right smack at the entrance. This is perfect if you mostly have fan art or only fan art, because the other 2 table options that I'll be talking about do require some percentage of original art in your portfolio. So the second option to get into Artist Alley is the standard booth. So it's $750 for this particular table. You do get a 10 by 10 space, as well as a 6-foot table and 2 chairs, a badge. However, compared to the unlimited table, which does allow 100% fan art, standard booths require 50% original art minimum, and then the remaining 50 could be fan art. You can also have 100% original art if you want in this table spot. It's just that they require at least minimum 50% original art. Standard booths are around the perimeter of Artist Alley, and I've seen a lot of people be really creative with their setups, especially with a 10 by 10 space. You are allowed to move your table around to create a booth-like experience if you'd like. It is a little bit cheaper because compared to unlimited booths, it is requiring original art, and it's a bigger space compared to the standard table size. And then finally, the table that I currently have is the standard table. So that one is $350, and it's the cheapest option out of the 3. There's been some confusion as to whether you get a 6-foot or an 8-foot table. So your promise is 6-foot table. However, from the Artist Alley Discord, I've been told to also plan for a potential 8-foot table, because in past years, we do get an 8-foot table, this year included. However, next year, it's best to also assume that it'll be a 6-foot table, and then maybe hope that it'll be an 8-foot table. This table option does require at least 50% original art, and then the rest could be fan art. I forgot to mention this with the standard booth, but I believe both are lottery plus juried. I don't remember which order. I'm assuming it's lottery first and then jury. So I just got lucky with this table option really. For this particular application process, I do have 2 portfolios. So one of them is my basic one, which has a mix of fan art and original art, and it doesn't differentiate between the 2. However, for conventions like this that require a percentage of original art, I do have a separate portfolio for that has an indication of this is original art, these are the products, and then this is fan art, these are the products. So that's something you might want to consider, because you don't want to confuse the jurors as to what art pieces are original and fan art, and that might disqualify you, especially when they only have a few seconds to look at your application. But those are the 3 different options to get into Otakon. As for final inventory counts, especially now that the 2 typical most busy days are over, I'm not really sure how today will go. I'm assuming it's going to be slower than Friday, only because I'm basing it off of Anime Expo, where because Sunday had a lot shorter hours, we did perform significantly less compared to the other show days. As for the assessment, where some have said that Otakon performs better than Anime Expo, with yesterday's numbers, I would say that it was pretty equivalent to one of my Anime Expo days actually, but that's also because none of my Anime Expo days stood out from each other. Like they were all relatively steady, besides Sunday, which kind of dropped it a little bit. So I'm assuming that really happened because I've never vended on the East Coast, so most people might assume that it's going to be a while until my next East Coast con, and because I ship from Los Angeles and it's across the country, shipping tends to be more expensive versus if I'm shipping within California. I also did advertise this convention relatively well on social media. I did post my Artist Alley catalog about a week prior to the event, and I also assumed that I would do decently well at this convention. Obviously not as well as Anime Expo, because with AX technically I would have unlimited inventory because I am local to the LA area. I feel like people here don't have as much of an opportunity to shop for me because they don't know when my next convention is, and then they can save on shipping. But it is something to consider, and it might be the same case for you when you vend at West Coast cons versus East Coast cons, depending on where you're from. I also noticed everyone's really nice here. I feel like it's the same experience as when I was at Anime Central, because everyone was just so nice. I can't think of specific examples, but I will just say like everyone's been incredibly kind. So thank you for stopping by. It's really sweet hearing all of you guys say that you watch my videos or follow me on socials, because I really appreciate you, and it's been really nice being here on the East Coast. It's been a great con. I'd love to come back to Otakon if given the opportunity. So we'll see how today goes. So it's 12:41 and it's been a couple hours or so since con started. It was a little bit slow in the beginning, that a lot of people were concerned if people even knew that Artist Alley opened at 10 in the morning. I went out around 11 or so to get boba just because I wanted boba yesterday and it rained. That's boba. Luckily today it was a little bit muggy. It was kind of warm, but it was better than it being incredibly sunny. As for con right now, we did sell out of cat corduroy bags. We're down to about 3 bear corduroy bags, 5 bunny bags. So I'm assuming that bunny's not as popular here, which is a little bit similar to Anime Expo, where the cat was most popular and then the bear was second popular, and then the bunny. We still have a few classic Ida bags. I feel like with everything, we might have to ship some of the extra stock only because a lot of the display items fit in the 4 luggages, but we did run out of the free tote bags with the $50 purchase. Even though they are available for purchase separately, I think only one person purchased it separately. It was nice because we've been running around saying hi to friends, basically doing last minute shopping. I did buy a few prints and stickers from people that I haven't met before or I haven't seen. Oh, there are also water refill stations, which is really nice. I think the closest one is in the bathroom, but I also saw a few water refill stations throughout the convention, so you don't have to worry about getting dehydrated. It's currently 1:53, so I would say a little over an hour until con ends. For the most part, I don't think there will be any major differences from now until the last hour. I think in terms of how much inventory I would bring for next year if I were to get into Otakon again, I would probably bring about the same amount of Ida bags, maybe a little bit less of the classic Ida bags just because it seemed like they weren't as popular, and I believe I brought less of those compared to the Ida backpacks and the heart Ida bags and the plushie Ida bags. I think I brought about a good amount of corduroy bags. We're down to 3 lost bear bags and then 4 bunny bags, and then we're out of the cat corduroy bags. I think I brought a good amount of stickers. I don't think we ran out of any specific sticker except for Killua, and that's because I forgot to add more for him. And I think I brought about 20 or so of each sticker. Enamel pins, we didn't really run out of any of them, so we're pretty good on those. Foam grips, I only brought about 12 or so of each. Did not run out of any of those. I brought too many crew neck sweaters. I was recommended to bring a lot. I guess in this year it just wasn't the case because it's also really hot and warm outside. So I would bring less sweaters. I think I brought 3 to 4 of each size or so. Some of them I only brought one, like the 3XLs, 2XLs, and maybe a couple of each small size. So I'd just bring less than that, or less than 3 or 4 of each sweater. And if we did sell out, it sold out midway of yesterday. So I'm not mad about it, especially because Sunday does have a lot shorter hours and I don't think people are as actively purchasing compared to the last 2 days. So thank you, DC, for all the love, and I really appreciate everyone who came by. Thank you. If you want my thorough review of this convention and my experience that I will not be sharing on this vlog, you can join my Biz Buddies tier on Patreon. I will have it linked down below. Look at this Nanami anime print. Fantastic. Oh my god, he looks so good. Hi.
Hi, I just wanted to stop by. I have been watching your YouTube channel religiously for
Oh,
the
thank
past
you.
year. I'm also an artist who's been starting out recently doing conventions, and so your videos have been so helpful to me personally.
Oh, thank
I love having you on in the background while I'm
Oh, I'm
doing
so
work.
glad. It's 3 o'clock and we're done.
Thank you for joining us for Otakon's 30th anniversary. The dealer's room and artist alley are now closed. Please make your way towards the exit and we will see you next year.
They turned it off. Oh my god. This is a line to the elevator and it's all the way over there. If you want to see my experience while vending at the largest anime convention in the United States, watch this vlog to see how I did at Anime Expo. Bye!